take Hamas to disarm, and can you guarantee that is going to happen?
Well, they're going to disarm, and because they said they were going to disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them.
How will you do that?
I don't have to explain that to you. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games. Okay? Now, we did something monumental. We got the hostages back. That was the first thing we had to do. Above all else, get the hostages back. Now, they misrepresented because we were told they had 26, 24 of dead hostages, if we can use those terms. And it seems as though they don't have that because we're talking about a much lesser number. But that's a very tough subject. I want them back. That's what they said. I want them back. Also, they said they were going to disarm. And initially speaking, they needed, they did take out a couple of gangs that were very bad, very, very bad gangs, and they did take them out, and they killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you. That's okay. It's a couple of very bad gangs. It's no different than other countries. Like Venezuela sent their gangs into us, and we took care of those gangs. We have Washington, D.C. is one of the safest cities in the country. It was one of the worst cities in the country if you go back just a little while ago, right? Now it's safe. You can walk to work. Isn't it nice? But we have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently. But they will disarm. Do you understand me?
Yes, you say
because everyone says, oh, well, they won't disarm. They will disarm. And I spoke to Hamas. And I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's what they told me. They will disarm or we will disarm them. Got it? Okay.
What is the deadline you're going to put on that? You say quickly, sir. Sir, you say quickly, but what is the deadline you're going to put on that before you take action?
Pretty quickly. A reasonable period of time.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appears to be derailing US President Donald Trump's Gaza ceasefire deal, signaling a possible push for the return of the war. Netanyahu has now set a new deadline for Hamas to return the bodies of the Israeli hostages, a move that threatens the continuity of the diplomatic breakthrough. Amid the fragile first phase of the ceasefire, Israel's military says it opened fire in northern Gaza to remove what it called a threat from suspects approaching its forces. The Palestinian Health Authority is reporting that at least 6 people were killed by the Israeli military in 2 separate incidents. While the IDF said 5 Palestinian suspects were killed, the Israeli military said these individuals crossed into a restricted area that had been part of Israel's initial pullback. A violation, it says, of the US-brokered ceasefire agreement. Hamas, on the other hand, accused Israel's military of violating the ceasefire deal by killing Palestinians in Gaza. In the latest, Israel has decided not to reopen the Rafah border crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt tomorrow, as well as limit the aid flowing into Gaza until Hamas returns the bodies of all the dead hostages. Very crucial developments. And as per the Israeli media reports, Israel setting the end of today as the hard deadline for Hamas to make progress when it comes to returning the bodies of the dead hostages. The mediators reportedly saying that Hamas may not even know where all the bodies are, while the Red Cross said the process is expected to take some time. Israel's public broadcaster reporting that Netanyahu's government believes Hamas already has some of the bodies in its custody and is deliberately holding them back. A source familiar with the talks telling it that Israel lacks effective leverage on this issue, suggesting that Netanyahu's hardline approach may have more to do with political optics than diplomatic strategy. In fact, an Arab diplomat involved in the mediation told the Israeli newspaper Haaretz that mediators are working on the issue, while insisting that the overall Gaza agreement remains intact for now. Hamas handed over caskets set to contain the bodies of 4 dead hostages yesterday, but reportedly offered no information about 24 other dead hostages. For Trump, this comes at a rather delicate point. Just yesterday, remember, he was seen celebrating that high-profile peace signing in Egypt. A ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas, hailed as a personal diplomatic triumph.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו.
The US president, who has long campaigned for a Nobel Peace Prize, basked in the global spotlight as world leaders gathered to endorse his framework. But the honeymoon, as many have called it, appears to be ending rather quickly. Analysts saying Trump's challenge now is keeping Netanyahu in line. Presidents from Bill Clinton to Joe Biden, remember, have struggled to manage the Israeli leader, and even Trump's own aides have privately complained reportedly that some of Netanyahu's military actions undercut American policy goals. And this month, Trump managed to push Netanyahu to accept that 20-point peace plan, but Netanyahu's right-wing coalition partners, including the National Security Minister and Finance Minister, have slammed the ceasefire deal, calling it a surrender. Ben-Gvir, in fact, has even threatened to quit the government in protest, adding further pressure on Netanyahu to appear uncompromising, especially as elections are due in Israel next year. On the ground, meanwhile, Gaza remains in ruins, the United Nations estimating that 92% of the residential buildings are damaged or destroyed. 92%. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians still living in tents, makeshift shelters. Trump's peace plan risks unraveling and also Netanyahu's deadline on dead hostages. Israeli military actions could be the spark that sends the deal up in flames, perhaps.